It's your guy Bendu, and I'm coming at you with another video today. And I'm going to be reacting to another video. This is from the bull Andrew Neff, and this is a Michael. This guy's name is Michael Sandel. Sandel, I think that might be how you like pronounce it, but he's talking about meritocracy and how it destroys the common good. And off rip, the title just fascinated me, and I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna save it to react and watch it with y'all. So let's go ahead and get into it.
Yes, in fact, to clarify what could be a possible misunderstanding for which I take full responsibility, if this is how you read it, Sherelle, the main thrust of my criticism of meritocracy is that it leads the winners to believe their success is their own doing. It cultivates the image that the successful are self-made and self-sufficient, and therefore that they owe little, if anything, to those who struggle.
And I would take it a step further. I would say these people, most of them don't deserve it. Most of them, these like Elon Musk, who calls himself a self-proclaimed libertarian, lives on the government dole. His existence, his whole existence hinges on living on the government dole. Elon Musk does not run a successful business in Tesla. Definitely doesn't blow up. In terms of successful, if you're like, when you alter the meaning of successful when it comes to business and shit like that, I always thought, I didn't know that included, taking government subsidy money, when it's small businesses that rely on government subsidies. That's when we have to shit on them and say, well, these businesses need to go out and fail on their own. Now you have some hardcore libertarian anarcho-capitalist types that would agree with that sentiment, whether it's a small business or a corporation. Basically the market is going to dictate whether that company survives or not, and how strong that company is within the market, shit like that. But the whole point I'm making is, like, people like even like generational wealth. Like Elon Musk comes from like his parents were basically mineral miners in Africa. They were subjugating the people there, whether it was child slaves. We talk about child slaves with China, but we don't talk about them with fucking Elon Musk in Africa. And all of these white, mineral companies and shit like that, these white-owned mineral companies, Western-owned mineral companies that go in and exploit the people there. Which a lot of the shit surrounding China can be debunked on top of that. So I would go on to say a lot of these people don't deserve it and are propped up by the government based upon either their generational wealth or, a lot of these, these tech companies and shit like that, like Elon Musk is in. They offer something, not just like they actually create this shit. You feel me? So
because those who struggle have no one to blame but themselves. And part of what makes this a kind of tyranny is that meritocracy is corrosive of the common good. It's corrosive of any sense of mutual responsibility.
I would say it's corrosive of common sense. Like, for example, we do all these roundabout ways of dealing with something like the homelessness crisis. Like, even now to the point where they're saying they're just saying the quiet part out loud now. They want to straight up criminalize homelessness. Why not just put them in houses? It's cheaper. It's been proven. Studies have shown, and not just like on paper studies, like programs enacted in other countries and here in America have proven that it's cheaper just to put them in houses, give them housing, and their lives improve. Same thing with UBI. A lot of people's problems with UBI, it's far-ranging on people's problems with UBI. Two of the main things I hear is like more from leftists, it's talking about getting rid of like the social welfare safety net and shit like that, and then and like basically like more reliance on the government is what I hear from right wingers and shit like that arguments. But regardless, throw those two things to the side, they both get trumped by the aspect that of like with the leftist argument, just don't like fight, in a perfect, and now this is in a perfect world. You fight to don't get rid of the social safety net, the social safety net, you keep that and add on UBI. Let's just say that happens, for argument's sake, that happens. Boom, you have that on top of the social safety net. And then from the right, the right-wing arguments I hear now, I'm sure there's more arguments on this, but these are just two of the main arguments I've heard. The flip side of that, as I covered on this channel in that Stockton study, the UBI study, people improve better their lives. They either use that money, you know, they use that extra money to pay bills and take care of the, you know, the simple necessities that they needed. And some people even were able to have breathing room to, you know, not, you know, have time to actually better themselves and go learn new skills to get a better job. So again, it gets like that, it gets in the way of, you know, the corrosiveness he's talking about. To me, it's just common, it's corrosive to common sense. Just give people a house, you know, give them a little bit of extra money. You know, y'all don't mind giving these trillions of dollars to businesses, but when it comes to poor people that are struggling, the people y'all claim to care about, is fuck them. And that's because our politicians are paid off. And a lot of these talking heads are either delusional or they're paid off themselves.
Responsibility for our fellow citizens, and that includes the responsibility of those who have flourished in the global economy to share their wealth and good fortune with those who have struggled in large part because of the configuration of the economy.
Exactly. And that's the point I'm glad he hit. We shed the monarchy for basically, like Professor Wolf talks about this, you know, you got rid of the king and replaced him with a CEO or a board. That's all you fucking did. You still have a, you know, people talk about, and this is what bugs me a lot with conservatives and right wingers, is that they talk all day about liberties and civil freedoms, this, that, and the third, but that thought never seems to cross over into the workplace. It's so weird how that happens, you know, and that it leads me to call them cucks sometimes, whether it's cucks to power. A lot of them worship these billionaires. They, you know, there are, like, that's not me saying all conservatives worship, you know, billionaires and shit like that. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you have a good portion of the people of them that do. I've talked to them. I've met them. Some of them I know as my friends. And it's like, it's very, like, they have this aspect of the meritocracy that obviously they're there in that position of power because they deserve to be. They earned it, which I call bullshit. For a lot of these motherfuckers, I call bullshit. But just the overall aspect of, you know, liberties and freedom, and I'm with them on a lot of this shit they talk about in terms of liberties and freedoms, whether it's the, you know, the shit that's going down with the, you know, vax passports and everything. Obviously civil liberties in terms of privacy, you know. I guess the two areas, like some conservatives, like people, you know, there are like the anarcho-capitalists, you know, kind of like Magnus Panvidia, and he's not, I don't even know if he's necessarily a right winger or anything like that. I'm not trying to call Magnus a right winger. I love Magnus. I think everything he does is great. But just libertarian-esque people, you know, they'll agree with us when it comes to police, but a lot of conservative, like traditional Republican voters, like Trump voters, like are bootlickers to the police, which blows my mind. And then on top of that, you know, just bootlickers to billionaires and to the, you know, the business class hierarchy. It's like we've been brainwashed into viewing everything, you know, in terms of how the economy works, strictly from the owner class, which most of us are not, which is so weird, fucking weird to me. So weird. I've always felt this way, but I didn't know this was like, you know, my brain always worked that way with shit, especially when it came to economy, like just common sense, like give people a house. Well, we can't do that because it'll inflate this and this, that, and the third. But it's cheaper. And it's like obviously the right thing to do. And studies have shown that it betters people's lives. Well, we can't do it because people need to learn to do. Like when Dan Crenshaw was on Joe Rogan saying people, you know, need to suffer. It builds character. Like, what? That makes no sense. That makes no sense.
And so the redistribution of the winnings, or rather the sharing of the winnings with everyone, with the entire society, is precisely a part of the politics of the common good that I am arguing for. And I think the only way we can begin to argue for this more generous conception of the common good and the responsibility of the winners to share their winnings with those who haven't flourished in the new economy The only way to make the case for that kind of redistribution is to build up resources of solidarity and of shared citizenship and of mutual responsibility that are obstructed insofar as we are in the grip of the self-image that it's all our own doing. So it is precisely, and here's where I want to clear up any possible misunderstanding, it's precisely to open us to this sense of shared responsibility that I argue against the idea that success is the doing of the successful, and that they therefore deserve the material rewards that flow their way in a market economy. So this is providing the moral basis for a greater sense of solidarity, and which I think we need if we're to begin to rebuild the social bonds that have come unraveled during the last 4 decades. Cheryl, does that address the worry that you had?
At Penn College, when we look at
What is
our
this?
computing programs, our information.
I don't even know what it is. But yeah, but I 100% agree with what that guy just said. His name was, give me one second, Michael Sandel. 100% agree with everything he said there. And especially towards the end about that. I mean, basically what he's saying is, you know, adopting more communal and socialist principles, like instead of this market-based meritocracy bullshit, is what we should be moving towards. And I agree. I agree with that. I really do. And it kind of goes in line with Malcolm X video that I'm going to be breaking down, and with China. Like, and what I try to tell my friends, us, especially us as Black people, capitalism is what put our people in bondage, bro. Obviously, you know, racist principles and shit like that, that obviously is at play. But at the center of it was capitalism. It was a bunch of lazy ass motherfuckers that wanted to make money off of, you know, selling crops and shit like that, and they didn't want to take they fat white asses out there and pick it themselves. So they brought a bunch of us over, you know, stole a lot of us from Africa. If you ask me, I think a lot of us was already here. Call me a conspiracy theorist, but that's my personal belief. But regardless, they stole a lot of us and forced us to do that. Now, like I said, obviously there's racist elements at play. I'm not denying that. But at the heart of it is capitalism. And Malcolm X was talking about that in the video. I don't know if I dropped it before or after this point, but regardless. So, and that's what I try to talk to my niggas about, and my homies. Because it's like, hip hop now, especially, is just pushing this pro-capitalist bullshit, man. Even with artists that I love, like Cole and Kendrick, they still have aspects of capitalism in it, even though their work is more, you know, centered around social issues and causes and shit like that. But whenever they talk about economy in their music, it's always about this idea of gaining more wealth, you know, basically adopting the capitalist nature of our oppressors that's going to save us, which is not the case. Like, that's not it, B. Sorry. Like, you can't adopt the mechanism that your oppressors used against you and expect to have a good outcome from that. In my opinion, and look, the proof in the pudding is China. Malcolm X said it in the video. Like, they used to say, you have a Chinaman's chance of doing X, Y. You know, that was a saying they would use. That was a racist saying and metaphor they would use. He was like, but they don't say that shit no more, because now China's strong. Mao built a strong China. They don't say that shit no more. So until we have a strong Africa, they're going to keep shitting on us. And that's what I'm saying. Until we have a strong Black America that's operating and finding solutions outside of the establishment, outside of capitalism, we're never going to have the true change. I'm currently reading this book right now, and he talks about this idea is how capitalism underdeveloped Black America. And that is 100%. Everything so far I've read in this book is facts. I'm a super slow reader. I'm going to do a review of it. I'm actually planning on doing a review of the Communist Manifesto soon with my, hopefully with my guy, Chris Lincoln-Melly. He came on for the March for Medicare for All Talk episode, But yeah, but to the heart of what that's not, like, how capitalism underdeveloped Black America. I think that's what it's called, something like that. My guy Alfred sent me that book. Shouts out to Alfred. But yeah, so you can't expect a better outcome from the mechanism that enslaved you in the first place. And again, like I said, the proof in the pudding is China. The proof in the pudding is Cuba. The proof in the pudding, is a lot of these socialistic countries that and communistic countries that existed, and some of them did fall because they made mistakes. And the ones that are still around today that repelled, the United States, that repelled imperialism and shit like that, learn from them. Even non-communistic countries, like I would say like Syria, for example. How the fuck is Syria still there? Out of everything that's happening to them, Iran, there's so many examples we can be using now, man. Even examples from Putin, like how the real reason why a lot of them why they hate Putin. One of the big reasons why is because he nationalized the oil in Russia. Let's be real. That's really why they don't like that motherfucker. That's why you have CNN, who is funded by ExxonMobil and a lot of these energy companies, American and Western energy companies, because back in the day, they loved him. But then when he nationalized that fucking oil, that's when they started hating him. That's when he was a dictator. Pay attention to that shit. Stay woke. Not too woke, though. Not TYT woke. So, yeah, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and close the video out there, guys. As always, like, comment, subscribe, and share. Emphasis on all that. Follow me on Odyssey. We're going to start promoting alternative platforms on this bitch, too. And I'm still looking into Rumble. I want to look into it, so stay tuned for that. And, thanks for tuning in. Peace.